Hey, everybody, this is Justin, Professor, and we are today talking ChatGPT. And the reason we're talking ChatGPT in all candor and honesty is because, well, I'm getting ready to build a workshop, a live workshop in another location, and I'm a couple weeks away. So I've been just delved deep into doing that and moving forward. So, today, that's what we're going to talk about. This is a little bit early. I usually try to do this at 1 o'clock, but I do have a hard stop today because I've got another class online coming right after for a different group of people. So I wanted to get this done. Uh, but so this is ChatGPT, and more specifically AI, and how I want us to think about AI, artificial intelligence. In case you're not familiar with what that term is, I'm gonna say a lot of the tools that we are looking at and working with in our arenas are definitely more it's well, let's just say it this way. It is definitely a I don't know. I think we're overusing that term in all candor. We are Some of it's just machine learning, which is a little bit of the same thing. It's not artificial intelligence. It's just a really complex program that's going on and doing certain things. Some of it is learning from itself, getting better and better and better. ChatGPT will be a certain example of that. I do think AI is becoming an extremely overused term in what we're doing. A lot of this is impressive, useful, amazingly complex programming that is making our lives a lot easier. I think it's a stretch calling it AI, but that's a different conversation for a different day. Today, kind of what I want to talk about is some ways that we can make ChatGPT work just a little bit better for ourselves. Now, again, ChatGPT, if you're not familiar with it, is a tool that has been available for a long time, but for the public, late December, it came available to us. And a lot of people are delving deep into it. And you're probably seeing people like myself teach a lot of classes on this and do a lot of things. But I'm seeing certain things and I'm seeing, similar results all the time for the same thing we're doing. And I believe it's because we're not seeding chat GPT properly. We're not doing the things we need to do for that to make it work better for our business. Now, a couple things I want us to look at and think about from inside this perspective is, well, essentially, one, ChatGPT, AI, any of these tools is not replacing our job. I want us to always think about this as our assistant. I want us to think about making certain things in our lives just a little bit easier. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we all have weaknesses. We all have things that just don't work the way we want to do, or we don't do certain things like we want. As an example, in the past, I've hired editors. I speak for a living. Don't make me write. So I'll write newsletters, do things that for various industries, and put those out there. But if I try to write that stuff, it doesn't always come out as well as I would like it to. So I got to have editors clean it up and do things like that. I can put that inside ChatGPT and make it look better. We all have those things out there. We all have those challenges and those needs to make some of that stuff work just a little bit better and make it just a little bit cleaner. So, I'm going to show you just a couple strategies today. This will probably be about a 15-20 minute little session in here, nothing terribly long. But I do want you to look at this and kind of make sure you understand how this looks and how it works. Now, with all that said, stuff being said, please understand a couple things we have to understand about ChatGPT and how it works. First, ChatGPT is pulling all data from 2021 and earlier. And that's how it's learning. It's taking all that stuff and comprising and writing its own context. Um, it's still unclear of where copyright leanings are going to go from content creators and things like that. If you read some of their stuff, it is saying this is unique material created from the information it's gathering because it is learning on its own. I will always say this, any tool you use, if you're going to have any concern about who owns what material and who does what, you're going to want to have a couple things understood in here. You're going to always want to make sure, one, you're probably paying for it. That's definitely going to help the process. It's not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination. But you're also going to want to understand who has what rights and whatever, right? I always say there's three things you want to know about copyright. You want to know who owns the material, who has rights to material, and for how long they have rights to material. That's the questions you always want to ask. And so those are the things you want to make sure you kind of have in place in there. So with that, let's talk about how we can get the most from ChatGPT. Now, it's called prompting. And when we look at prompting inside here, we're writing a series of commands to get the most out of this material. One of my favorites is if you ever actually think about the old Broderick movie, War Games, he was talking to a computer and it was interacting back. That's kind of what we got going on here. So if you write the right question, it will give you the responses you're looking for, but it's the right question. So, one of the first things I want you to understand is I want you to think about this from a nesting perspective. I think, you can write these big, long, complicated scenarios and put it out there. I think that's okay, but I think it's going to be a little bit easier for most of us when we come in here and we simply nest the stuff, right? Write one prompt, make sure it understands. Write the next prompt, make sure it understands. Write the next prompt, make sure it understands, right? So, to give you an example of that, I'm going to bring ChatGPT in here on the screen and we're going to see it here. Okay, so let's share the screen. And we are here. So, just so I can see what's going on. There we go. All right. So we are here on the screen, and this is your Chat GPT. If you have not created an account, you can create an account for free. You will get that for free out there. I'm going to say with 3.5, just assuming that we all have that in place and it's in there. But what I will say is most likely you're going to want to pay for it. And then you can see up top here, I have GPT-4. And with that, you'll get some extra abilities. Up until about a week ago, there was a default situation where you could search using Bing at the same time, which means you could get later data later than 2021. But you also have plugins, and there's a bunch of plugins. Now that'll be for a different class, different plugins that I'll show you how you can use and how you can work with that inside here. But for now, we're just going to take ChatGPT 3.5 and show you how that looks inside here and what you can do in the environment. And again, for anybody that's playing along with me, please always feel free to write any questions, chat box, anything like that. I will see them and I'm happy to answer those and even show you something that maybe you're having a struggle with. You put them in the chats, I'm happy to do that. But if I come in here, you'll notice it's about the prompting in here and it's about what I set up. So if I come in here and say, give me 10 posts, 10 social media posts, spell would be helpful for buying a home, right? If I come in here and do that, you will see good, right there. Okay, exciting news. After months of searching, I finally found my dream home. Can't wait to start a new chapter in my life. House hunting adventures begin, right? Right. I can see that. And these are great, extremely useful examples. There's nothing wrong with these. These are great posts. I've got hashtags in them. I've got some emojis, right? I have all this stuff in here, and this is extremely useful for us in our business. Nothing at all wrong with this. But if I delete this and start nesting some of the scenarios that I want to work through with this outline, I can get a little bit better information from this. So, first, which is always a great example in here, take on the persona. So if you say take on the persona, you're going to get an option in here and you're going to identify the persona. Now, these personas can be anything you really want it to be. I could come out here, the most current example I always use, take on the example of Gary Vaynerchuk, or so you could use a celebrity, right? I could also come out there and give it a profession, which is what I'm going to do, right? A realtor or whatever, right? I can give it that example. And the more specific I get, the better the response is going to be. The better the information is going to be in there. So, but again, I can do personalities, I can do experiences, profession, things like that. So again, I'm going to say persona of a 20-year filter with expertise in Wheaton, Illinois. And what you'll see in here now, it gives me, hello, a 20-year expert. I'm here to assist you with any questions, information about real estate marketing Wheaton. Whether you're looking to buy or sell a property, I'm here to help. Wheaton is a vibrant, sought after community with a diverse range of modern developments. Feel free to ask me anything you'd like to know. All right. So that's the first thing. So I can say something along the lines like this: I need 10 posts and social media posts. Can you create them? Right. And these are good, right? Again, I've got the hashtag in here, reading real estate. Now I'm getting more specific. I'm getting more to what I'm looking for. But one of the things I can do in here for this is I can come out here and say, um, quite specific enough for my target audience. Ask me up to 3 questions to help identify my target audience. So again, this is the nesting conversation I'm talking about with this. When I do this, I'm here and I can do this. So now I can actually answer questions. So I can sit there and say residential. I can hit end space or shift enter, which gives me a tab. Answer question: what is the average budget range of your clients? Average budget range of my clients is we'll say 350. Are you targeting first-time homebuyer, families, young professional, retirees, or specific demographic group in area? We are transition buyers, buyers, right? I can put that in there. So now it gives me examples, right? For the next chapter, upgrade to your dream home, explore selections of spatial properties here, moving up buyers, family growth, right? Looking to upsize your style. So I can start doing a see in here that this is actually creating me a lot of really solid information in here, again, that's popping up here on the screen for me. Now, what I can do is say, okay, in a table format, create 10 social media posts that are tips for buying their next home, right? Um, First column is descriptor of your of the social media image. Second column is the text for the post. Okay. And you see right here, it did not put that in here properly. It just gave me pictures in here. It just gave images instead. But I can see tip before you start your run home, get pre-approved for mortgage. I'll give you a clear budget and make sure your offer strong. Did you know making a list of must-haves, nice to have features can help you prioritize home search? Right. These are actually really good tips. Again, we got the social media post. Um, Correct first column to tell me what the image should look like. So now it's giving me descriptors of what that looks like. So now I have this in here and I can come into tools like Canva and make this work for us, right? I can come into tools like Canva and come out there and simply make that work. This is really good stuff, right? The only thing I would say in here is um, tie the hashtags to Wheaton and Wheaton real estate, right? So I can always make this work and it's going to continue to correct. And now I have them in there. So again, think of this from a nesting perspective. When you're looking at this and you're making this work in your business, that's one of the things you definitely want to make sure you do. Hey, Jason, how's it going, man? I don't know if you're still on here or not. Um, Glad you're around. So this is just definitely one thing. And if you got any tips, let me know, brother. Um, but this is just one of those ways to make this happen and work for you in the business, right? This is an easy thing to do. So I think nesting is always a very strong strategy in the business. It takes a couple extra seconds, but you're going to get much better work and information out of here. Now, with that being said, that's the first tip. The second tip is similar, but I'm going to show you this from an analytics perspective. So, one of the things I want us to think about in here is you can take data points. You can take data points from your MLS or wherever you can get data from, even articles and things like that. And you can have ChatGPT analyze the data and then maybe write yourself a newsletter. It's going to be the same basic strategy, right? So when I look at this and make this work inside this system, I'm just trying to bring up quickly a data set here to work with. That you can quickly come in here, create a new account, create a new chat in here. And again, I'm always going to take on the persona. So I just wrote, take a persona of a top-rated real estate agent with the expertise in analytics. All right, so you see, it's got this great information. My expertise in analytics, it sends identification investment types. I can help you identify neighborhoods, areas based on a range. Right, I got that inside here. So if I look at this, I can say summarize, and um, so I can say analyze the data below and summarize via bullet points the information. So now I take the information, I got it from a different source here. I'm going to hit Shift Enter, Control V. Now I have the data in there. Now this has got some attached versus detached properties in here, but I have that ready to go. And I have this information here. So now I can come out here. I can even sit there and say, okay, just summarize the detached property data. So I can ask it, what does this data tell you? All right. So now I get decrease, I get information in here. So now I can say, okay, great. I need you to create a newsletter for my clients using the summarized data. You can remember, I'm just writing this a little bit different because I can look at this stuff and I can take out different things in here I don't really want in here. So I can sit there and say wheat market insight, new increased listings, MLS market insights, similar wheat numbers, average sales, 6.7%. Right. This is some repeated information. I really probably don't want this in here. So I can say remove MLS market insights. There's one, I can't use MLS, right? I can't use that in there. And now I've got a nice little article. So now I can copy this and I could put this in anything I have, any of my CRMs that are out there, anything that I want to use in the system. So I can use this in here. The last thing I can use this for, and again, remember, I'm trying to make this my assistant. I'm trying to make life a little bit easier for myself. So these are just two ways. I'm going to show you one more way to think about this just a little bit differently for our business. There's a term called TLDR, right? Too long, didn't read. But there's still a lot of great information that I actually need to know about and have information on. So I can come in here and find an article that I need to read, right? And try to find information on it. So I can come in here and I can now again, if you have if ChatGPT brings back the Bing plugin, you're going to be able to just pull the article straight out and you'll have it there. Otherwise, right now what you can do is just copy the article from the website. I can come in here and say, "Are you aware of TLDR?" Long didn't read is commonly used in here. Okay. Can you summarize the article below and give me the highlights? I pasted it in there, copied it out there, just took an article I found online really, really quickly. So, article discussed the current rate of our real estate market, particularly in reaction to mortgage rates, inflation potential, potential for a recession. Here are the highlights. Falling mortgage rates have impacted the state, leading to a decline in new listings. Resurgence. Mortgage rates have based a high of 6.85 to 6.7 into June. The passage of bipartisan deal in Congress of debt. Right. So now I have this stuff, and now I have understandings quickly of where that's at. Again, one of the things that you could do in the future with this is if this was linked back to Bing, you probably could go back to a particular article where these spots are at and read more in detail so you could find that particular spot and go in there. You also can do this with YouTube videos. There are actually in here plugins. And again, I'm not going to show you the plugins today, but there are actually plugins you can download and it will give you a summarized description of that video, which I can be nice because some of those things you may think you're there because there's a lot of clickbaiting that happens with some of these videos. You can go back and summarize those videos and then find out if you want to listen to it or not. Right. So these are just three of the ways inside here that you can use to just make your life a little bit easier. Right. Again, remember, I want you to think about nesting these things. Prompting is very important, like take on a persona, take on the expertise, and then make sure you're always giving it the details that you need it to give so you can have that right example, right? Who, as the example I gave, who am I? Who is my ideal client? What do they need, their wants, their fears, their wishes, and things like that. Now, the one thing I did not show you, I'm going to come back to this real quick, is one of the other things I can do in here, we'll take this one on, right? I have this here. I'm going to come in here. Where is my stuff? I'm going to come in here to my Otter account. I have otter.ai. The reason I'm coming to otter.ai real quick is I want to show you this because I think this is a cool thing and this will be the last thing I do. But um, you can get it to write in your own tone, right? Or you can get it right in a tone that you want to write it into. You want to make it whimsical or funny or motivating or inspirational. You can do that. Well, we're not going to worry about that for now. But what I can do in here is I can take one of my previous articles in here. I can actually, I got to do it this way. Uh, where's my export button? There we go. I can export this. I can take this information in here, copy it, and I can come back into Chat GPT and I can say, um, evaluate my speaking tone. Okay. Now rewrite the above newsletter matching my tone. Now, notice since I didn't nest this properly, and this is a great example of this. Notice since I did not nest this properly, it went all the way through dot loop. So, what I want to do is say, okay, what I want to do is say, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come in here and say, with my identified speaking tone, rewrite the newsletter below. So again, this was a great example. It's not what I had intended with the dot loop one, but it's great, right? That nesting becomes extremely important because it only remembers pretty much the last thing you do. It's got a very short term memory in this. It's a little kid. So it's always something that I want you to think of. Now, with that being said, folks, that's really all I have for you today inside of here. So I appreciate your time. Hopefully you guys got something from this in the class today. Class, group, whatever. But it's something I wanted you to think of because I think just the nesting and the persona and being detailed thinking in the conversation are going to help you change how this looks for you. So, with all that being said, I hope you have a great day. Hey, Jason, I'm just about done now too. So, if you have this, have a great day. Hope you have you got something out of this, and go make some newsletters. Uh, have a good one.